Hi, my name is Angus and I'm the 2022 President of the Sydney Uni Science Society, SciSoc for short. SciSoc will be holding its AGM at 6:30 PM on Thursday the 20th of October, so I'm making a little video to answer some frequently asked questions about the meeting. So yes, first question, what is an AGM? AGM stands for Annual General Meeting. It's a meeting to which all SciSoc members are invited, and it's usually held in late October. The main agenda item is to elect a new executive team for the upcoming year. In addition, the outgoing President Treasurer will give a short report on the year that's been, and if required, some constitutional amendments can be made. And just so you know, the Constitution's a document that outlines the Society's aims and outlines how it works as well. So, second question, who is the executive? SciSoc is an emphatically student-led society. I think that's why it makes it so great. And the executives are 14 student leaders who are elected to specific positions. And those positions are President, Vice President, Secretary, Treasurer, 2 events coordinators, 2 marketing coordinators, a sponsorship coordinator, a female and a male sports coordinator, a head chef, and 2 general executives. I've made a document providing a tiny bit more detail about each of those roles, some of the responsibilities you could expect for them, some of the focus areas that they have. So check that out. I'll put a link in the description. But otherwise, you can count on, besides the role descriptions, being part of a very friendly and helpful team, and one that's quite collaborative. So, for example, many people may contribute to a planning a fun event. It wouldn't just be the events coordinators, but it's quite flexible in that regard. All executive positions are vacated at the AGM and open to re-election for an annual term, for a yearly term. So third, what's it like being on the executive? Probably a little bit of a personal question, but in terms of the more objective part, the executive team kind of collectively are responsible for running the society, and that entails, firstly, organising, marketing, and running some really fun events and initiatives for our members, and that's really the critical thing, that's why we do it. Secondly, working alongside the Faculty of Science and the other science societies to deliver a great student experience for science students, and this can include some joint events such as the Faculty Welcome or Industry Night. Third, keeping registered with the University of Sydney Union, so that's the USU, and that's the body that oversees all clubs and societies. 4, obtaining funding, so that can be from some of those people I mentioned, from the USU and the Faculty of Science, from the university as a whole, and also from sponsors. And 5th, being part of a fun, supportive, and well-communicating team. So putting the effort in to make the executive a really great place to be. Now, there's a lot of flexibility in how each year's executive kind of want to run the show. For example, in 2022, what we did is we would meet every week to kind of assign and delegate tasks, and then sort of break up into slightly smaller groups to get these things done, and then come back together and see how it all was. It is a commitment to be part of the executive, I think, and everyone, but yeah, that being said, everyone does understand that other people are busy, that everyone's juggling uni commitments, work, etc. So please don't stress about, the executive equaling deadlines or nasty words like that. It's really quite a fun place to be. Now, why should you run for an executive position? This is the slightly more subjective part, I think. So speaking from my personal experience, being on the executive is a really incredible experience, and it really stood out from my time at uni. And I think the reason is that it is incredibly rewarding to work with other talented, driven, passionate people to deliver events that you think will be fun and helpful for your peers. And that's a really rewarding thing. And you also get a chance to be really close to, and in some words, kind of mould how that uni experience looks for others as well, which is kind of quite cool and I think quite unique. And that's sort of the beauty of clubs and societies. So in my role, for example, I've helped organise some new events like Bond and Bingo, Cocktails and Cluedo, ice skating, as well as kind of put together fan favourites like trivia, pub crawl, sport, first year camp, buckyball, STEM cruise, some end of semester parties. And I guess in addition to that ability to be creative and sort of choose how the society goes, being an exec also provides some great experience in terms of working with a team, communicating, event planning and marketing, and all that looks pretty good in the resume as well. And I guess the last point as to why you should run for an exec position is because SciSoc needs you. The whole enterprise of a student society is based on the concept that younger students will go to an event, enjoy themselves, and then as they get into the later years, join the team, organise some things and pay it forward. So we think if SciSoc's made a difference for you, and I know it's made a difference for me, you kind of got a cool chance to make a difference for SciSoc, which is kind of neat. Okay, how do I nominate? Question number 5. So it's a nitty gritty about how this AGM is going to work. Nominations are open to all current SciSoc members. The exception is for the role of president, which is only open to current executives. Now, you can nominate either beforehand, and we have a Google form to do so. I've linked that in the description. Or you can nominate on the meeting's floor, and we'll make a call for nominations so you'll know when to speak up. One member can nominate for several positions, but each position can only be filled by one person, and one person can only hold one position. So if you nominate for lots of positions and you get elected in a higher position, all your nominations for later positions are voided. Now, nominees will be asked to give a short, less than 1 minute speech, or to have a short statement read out if they're not going to be there. In that case, the statement you can submit with your Google Form nomination. And if you wouldn't like to make a speech or statement, that's okay. Question 6, what are the meeting's procedures and how is voting conducted? Because the AGM is the Society's sort of official yearly meeting, there are some old-fashioned procedures that will seem a bit silly. In terms of how it's going to look, so the meeting will be opened by the old president, and then the old president and the old treasurer will give a short report on the year that's been. This year we'll have to make a few changes and rewordings to our constitution. Nothing, just a few cosmetic things. But our secretary will propose those, and then we'll have them passed by a simple sort of handshake majority at the meeting. And then we get into the fun part. So at that point, the old executive will be dissolved, and we'll appoint someone called a returning officer. They'll take the chair of the meeting, and the returning officer is going to be an old executive who isn't contesting a position. And they're there to sort of oversee the election and make sure it's fair. For each position, the returning officer will ask for nominations from the floor, and then compare that to the nominations they got beforehand, and read out the complete list of nominations in alphabetical order. And nominees will then have a chance to speak in that order. And should you want to withdraw your nomination at any time, you can do so. So, nominations have been read out, speeches have been made. The voting will be done in secret, and will be open to all attendees at the meeting who are SciSoc members at least 1 week before the AGM. So that was before 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, the 13th of October. Within each vote, voters can only vote for one candidate per position, and that candidate who gets the most votes wins. And this voting system is called first past the post. And it looks likely that the way we'll vote is that the attendees will be provided with a QR code that will link to a ballot, and then you will be presented the nominees in the same order that they spoke, in the alphabetical order. We cannot have absentee votes, unfortunately. So, after the vote, the winner will be declared by the returning officer. If there's a tie, we'll have a second election in which the tied candidates can go again. And if that doesn't resolve the tie, then we'll use a coin toss to decide who gets the role. The 14 positions that are up for grabs are in the order I gave before, so they'll be elected in that order. But you can also find this order in our agenda, which was sent around in that email I sent out, and also in the Facebook event description. Once all 14 of those positions are full, the returning officer will close the meeting, and I guess that represents the symbolic moment that the old executive is kind of relieved of their duty, and the new president will take leadership of the society. That's pretty cool. Any positions that are uncontested, they'll just remain vacant, and we'll advertise them for re-election at a later general meeting. Just as a point of difference, the difference between an annual general meeting and just a general meeting is that both of them can elect executives, but only executives are dissolved at the annual general meeting. So just a small difference there. Now, question 7, how do I begin once I'm elected? What happens then? So after the AGM, there'll be a handover period where the old executive will transfer all their know-how to their replacements. And we're planning on running an event or two as a collaboration between the old exec and the new exec, just to sort of show the new exec the ropes and to make that a smooth transition. That'll probably happen between the AGM and the start and the end of the year. By the start of the year, you'll be kind of going for it yourself, so that's really exciting. And I guess the last question is, should I go to the AGM if I'm not interested in nominating? And I think you absolutely should. It's really important that we have really good representation of members at the AGM, just so the voting best reflects and provides a mandate for the society. It's also a good way for you to kind of give back to SciSoc, even if you haven't attended an event here or there. It means a lot to us. And I guess if I can sell you with some goodies, there'll be beer, pizza, and a fun pub crawl after to celebrate. So it'd be a bad night to miss. All right, thank you very much. If you've got any further questions, shoot us an email. Otherwise, I hope to see you on Thursday. Cheers.